We're good to go. Okay, so as far as announcements are concerned, I just have a few. All of these were covered in the National Wake Up Call. If you have not listened to the National Wake Up Call from this morning, you definitely need to. Super motivating to hear from our CEO and kind of his vision, if you will, for this year and kind of what that looks like. And it was just kind of one of those really awesome feel-good calls. So be sure you go back and listen to that. You can find that in the 411 page, or of course on the podcast or in your back office as well. The first announcement that I have is in regards to Transform 20, FAQ 820. Don't forget, you can still get $20 off of those challenge packs. And any coaches who purchase their challenge packs or completion packs by the end of this month, so January 31st, you will get access to that exclusive coach test group, which you should be in. We have talked about this several times over the course of the past couple weeks as to why that's really important and how you can kind of utilize this launch to leverage it to grow and build your business. So be sure that you've got your pack ordered and that you're in that test group. You'll get an email that will give you access to request to join that Facebook group after you order your pack. Prep week in that group starts today, and that program officially launches and starts next Monday the 14th. For those of you that have not purchased your summit tickets yet, they are on sale right now for $155. That's FAQ 8234. Between January 12th, so not yet, January 12th through January 31st, they'll be on sale for that $155 promo price. So be sure that you get that taken care of if you haven't done that yet, and we'll be talking about that in our team page here pretty quickly. Keynote speakers, Rachel Hollis. The training workshop tracks are going to be geared towards where you are in your business, which is really cool because you will get specific information catered specifically for you with exactly where you're at. And then also don't forget FAQ 9242. If you refer one person to buy a summit ticket this month, you will get an invite to sample our newest fitness program that's going to be launching at Summit. You'll get to do a live workout with the super trainer of that program, which we don't know yet. And then two more things. Next one, Super Weekend is this weekend, FAQ 9792, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Be sure to go to that FAQ and find one that is close to you, near to you, and be sure to get to that live event. And then also for those of you interested in hosting an event, today is the last day to register to host. And then there's also a sale apparel event today, and I think it's like 50% off of some of the sale apparel. So if that is something that you're looking for, go check that out. Now it's time for me to stop talking and for our awesome guest speaker to take over. I'm going to introduce her really quickly. I'm super excited. We've been trying to coordinate this for a couple months, and with the holidays and everything, it was just super crazy. So I'm so glad that we were able to work this out. I know she's a mom and she's a wife and she's super busy, building her own business and with a huge team of her own. So I feel so honored that she's agreed to speak to our team. She's a Million Club member. She's a Success Club All-Star, and she was a member of the 2017-2018 Coach Advisory Board, and she's a 15-star Superstar Diamond. Her name is Brigitte Linford, and she's going to talk to us all about inviting, which I think is just so super fitting for our team and where we're at, as far as maybe some challenges and obstacles and things that we really had to overcome, not only in November and December, but just within our businesses in general. So I am going to mute myself and unmute you, Brigitte. You should be good to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Just a quick thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Thank you. Thank you so much for this invite, and I'm so excited to be here. I will tell you guys that you are all so lucky to have Beth as your upline, whether she's directly your upline or above you guys. She is someone that I have admired and from afar here, and so I just want to make sure that you guys know that you're really lucky. And I hear many times from coaches who will reach out and they don't have a team to connect into. They aren't getting calls like this from their upline. And so I just wanted to let you guys know you're lucky, and I'm excited to be here today. So just by a quick little introduction, as Beth said, my name is Brigitte. It looks like Brigitte, so I'm even impressed that she knew how to say my name correctly. It's kind of a tricky name, and I will never be offended. So if you happen to be next to me in a line at Summit, you can say, hey, you, I can't remember how to say your name, and I won't be offended because I know it's a little different. But I wanted to kind of share a little bit about, me getting started. I grew up in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And so that's how I connected with my sponsor, which is Scotty Hobbs. And he's from the same area. And if you're familiar with that area, then you know that there's another big network marketing business that is centered in Idaho Falls. And in fact, a large portion of the city is employed by this company in their corporate team or in their warehouse. It's called Melaleuca. And, so I kind of grew up around this network marketing idea. And to be honest, I was very turned off by it. I always kind of felt that people were these icky salesmen and very pressuring, where I felt, to me, very, what's the right word, disrespected if I told someone I wasn't interested and then they kept telling me all the reasons why I should be interested. I was like, to me, that feels so disrespectful. And that was my experience with salesmen. And so I grew up being like, I will never do network marketing. And I still have those moments where I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this. This is so weird. But, here I am. So I have been in this for 6 years. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. And I was living in Idaho Falls at the time after a bankruptcy and kind of restarting my life again with my husband after we just had a big fallout financially, and we were restarting essentially. And my husband was working for my dad, actually, after we had gone a few years without any income. He had owned a business before, and it just tanked. And so, I had just eaten my emotions in through all of that, and had never been a person who had a habit of working out or eating well. And so, as you kind of get older and have a few kids, that catches up with you. And I found myself overweight and stressed out about money. And when I was scrolling social media one day, I saw a post from Scotty Hobbs, and he was sharing this check amount. And he was sharing that he was paying, I think, $5,000 towards his mortgage extra that month. And to me, that completely blew my mind, because we were living off of $4,000 a month. And so the idea that someone had $5,000 extra every single month to pay towards their mortgage completely blew my mind. I just had such a hard time even wrapping my head around that number. And so I remember just scrolling through his post and being like, what is this guy doing? How does anybody have $5,000 extra every month to pay towards their mortgage? How is that even feasible? It just didn't make sense to me. And I saw him posting all of these before and after photos, and he had this album for Shakeology information. And he had this one particular image that showed all of the different ingredients that you would have to eat to get the same nutrients that you would in Shakeology. And that image kind of sold me on Shakeology, and all of the images that were these before and after photos sold me on doing P90X. And so I was too prideful to reach out to Scotty at the time, because I'm happily married and he was half naked in his profile photo. And so I didn't want to have him get the wrong idea. And so I was like, well, I don't need to message him. I'll just do P90X on my own. And so I did P90X. I ordered Shakeology from beachbody.com, just was a lead for somebody for 4 months, and went through the program and drank Shakeology every day. And every single day went to my computer after my kids were settled down for a nap time and typed in Scotty's name and would read through his post every single day. And I would go to his blog and read through his blog post. And I was converted to coaching through that. And I learned about coaching. I learned about the opportunity to save 25% and became a coach. So that's kind of how I got started in this. And I will tell you, when I got started though, I was like, I am not going to sell. I do not want to be one of those Melaleuca people that I have just been turned off by. And so I just felt like it would be spammy to invite people. I felt that it'd be this really icky thing. And I have heard coaches tell that to me, that they're like so concerned about inviting people. And I'm like, I get it. I understand, because I felt that same way. But I went to this seminar, and the speaker there said a few things that really helped me adjust how I was seeing this. And so I wanted to share those things and a few of the things that I've done along the way, because I am not someone who sends a lot of invites. So I am not someone who invites 20 people a day or even 50 people a week. I hear people who are like, get in your invites, and they're like, do 20 a day, whatever. And I think that's so great. And I will tell you, I did do that at the beginning because my invites were terrible. And I had to invite 20 people, 30, 40, 50 people to find one who said yes. Now my ratio is really good, where I can invite like a few people and the majority of them will say yes. And so I want to share a few things that I'm doing with that. I also feel that this content applies to leading a team. So if there's anyone on this call who's like, I really want to build a team and I want to get to Diamond and beyond, I want to share that as well, because I am also not a person who recruits 10 coaches a month. I'm not someone who recruits 8 coaches a month. Like, I have always recruited about 3 to 4, sometimes 4 to 5, maybe. But I work really well with the people that I get. And so I feel that I have definitely been someone who is showing what's possible with a quality over quantity approach. And so that's what I'm going to share with you here. So the aha moment that I had with this seminar is that this man got up there and he talked about, like, how many of you feel like it's this icky thing to sell? And of course I'm like, yeah, me. But he's like, listen, if you have a product that is going to help people, if I look down, by the way, I'm just looking at my notes here as I wrote them out here. But as I was saying, he pointed out that if you have a product that is going to help somebody, it's a disservice to share that. Like, why would you be embarrassed to share something that is going to be a blessing for another person? And so, yes, it's a scammy, slimy thing if you're selling drugs. If you're selling a complete scam where you're just going to take somebody's money and you're not going to offer them anything in return. But this is not a win-lose situation. I think many times we as a society are just so conditioned to a win-lose situation. And so we think in our mind, if I'm winning, as in I'm getting a commission from this, then I must be taking advantage of someone. They must be losing. But that is not what this is. This is a win-win scenario where they are benefiting from it. And yeah, you are too. But it's like we shy away from this, or we don't have enough confidence and belief in ourselves to think that I deserve to win. And so since you are going to win out of this, you cheat someone else out of their win because you don't think you deserve a win also. And so there's a win-win opportunity here, and it's going to be a blessing for these other people. But can you imagine how different our lives would be if Martin Luther King had not sold us on his dream, or the founding fathers hadn't sold us on this idea of freedom? And I know we all want to think like, no, well, that was my idea, or that was our idea. They didn't sell us on it. But no, they had to sell it to us. They had to market it and make it attractive and use the very best marketing skills to present that idea to us. And then, yes, we made the choice to choose it. But that's the same thing that we are learning to do here as well. And because we do this, it gives people the opportunity for better health, for longer lives, for more energy, for a more fulfilling life, for them to actually enjoy their time that they're here on this earth. So we definitely it would be a disservice if we did not learn how to be better marketers and better salesmen. And so first off, I just want everyone to release the idea that selling is icky, because it is not. I feel it's a very artful, wonderful, beautiful thing. And so don't be like, oh, I'm not a salesman. Yes, you are. And that's a good thing. Okay. Now, I'm going to start off with a few things that I have personally learned along the way. As I said, I shared that I used to have to send a whole lot of invites, And I look back at my first invites and I'm like, oh my goodness. I can't believe I like actually had people say yes, because they were so bad, like super bad. I was not a naturally talented person in this in any way. I definitely had to learn and adjust as I came along. And some of the things that I have learned is that breadcrumbing the information is so key. And that means like little bits of information. Keep it super short. So when people ask you about a challenge group and you find that person who's interested, little short paragraphs. I've also learned everybody's on their phone these days. And so if you space things out in paragraphs, that's even better. Do not ramble if you were sending voice messages. If I open up my phone and I see 6 to 7 messages, I can spend 6 to 7 minutes wasting time on social media, but I'm like, I don't have time for that message. So everyone's saying the same thing. You got to keep things brief, okay? Now, when someone says, well, tell me about this challenge group, I'm not going to go into all of the details of the promotions and everything that we offer and all of the details about the group itself and all of the things. First, I'm going to find out, like, yes, this is how I respond. Yes, I would love to give you more information on this program. I will tell you that it is a Beachbody focused fitness group. Are you familiar with Beachbody? Have you ever heard of P90X or Insanity? So I'm giving them, yes, a little bit of information, but I am asking them a question. Because then I want to know, like, have they heard about this? What do they know about it? Have they done one of these programs before? If they say, no, I've never heard of it, then I will say, that's just fine. So Beachbody is the one that is behind P90X and Insanity. Can I ask, are you doing any fitness programs at all? Or are you just getting started right off the bat in a new fitness routine? So I'm trying to like give them a little piece of information and ask them a question to get to know them more. I feel that I made a mistake beforehand when I looked at the acronym that used to be shared a lot, like the whole forming thing. And I thought, like, I have to ask all these questions and then give them all the information. And I feel like that feels so awkward. And it feels awkward for them too. I think, like, on the other side, I've reached out to people when I wanted makeup or things like that I see, you know, other people selling. And I'm like, just give me the freaking information. Like, what are you holding back? Why are you like not answering my questions? Or why are you not like giving me details? This is really awkward. And so, yes, answer their questions, but ask them questions in return. I always end with a question. And so the very last thing I do is I have a question there at the very end. I like it to be like a separate paragraph. So if I'm like, Beachbody is the company behind P90X and Insanity. Have you ever done a Beachbody program before? Or like that is my like then separate paragraph, the last question. I've had coaches on my team who were like, oh, I've invited 20 people or 30 people and no one said yes. And I say, send me your screenshots. And then I look in their screenshots. Many times I look at them and one girl, it was like dumbfounded because I was like, you have actually never invited any one of these people. You just talked about it. You didn't even actually invite them. There's no invite there. And she rereads it and she's like, you're right. Oh my gosh, I have it. I'm like, you spent 3 months talking to people about this and you've not invited a single person. So I just encourage you to like, I don't know, reread these things and make sure you're asking them questions. You're not ending the conversation in your message. Many people do that too, where they're like, it'll be really great. You know, it's so nice chatting with you. And they're like XOXO, their name or something. I'm like, you cut it off. You just like ended that conversation. They don't know that they're supposed to message you back if like the question is up in the middle, okay? I do like to focus first on the fitness side of this first. So I always kind of start with Beachbody fitness programs. And I like to match them up with the program first before I even mention Shakeology. And so I like help them line up with the one that they want to do. And then I ask, another part of this challenge group is Shakeology. Have you ever heard about it? And again, I'm just mentioning it, asking if they've heard about it because I want to know what their preconceived notions are about it or if they've ever heard it, tried it, whatever, any of that kind of stuff, okay? I do like to educate a little bit along the way when it comes to Shakeology. And my advice to you would be to memorize 2 ingredients of Shakeology and the benefits of it, and your 5-second elevator speech on why it's beneficial for you. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but passion is one of the most effective things when it comes to persuading people to go along with you. Like if you're passionate about something, people just get it. Like they're like, okay, I'm sold. You know, like you are so passionate about it. Like I'm in. Like I don't even understand it, but like I can see that you're really passionate about this, and they will lean on that. So I want you, if you in any way are not passionate about Shakeology, I feel an important part to be effective in your invites is that you are familiar with the ingredients, that like you have done the time to learn all of the benefits that it has. You yourself are drinking it every single day, that you have that testimony per se of Shakeology and that you really, really love it. I think this is why being proof the product works is such an important aspect, because if you're not doing the workouts, if you're not drinking the shakes, like you don't believe in it, you know, and you can't have any influence on someone when you don't strongly believe in it. Okay. Another thing that I do is I always assume the sale. So my language is like, okay, so when you're in this group, this is how it's structured. This is what I do. I like to get on the phone with people who are interested in the business. So when I'm on the phone with someone talking to them about coaching, I'm like, yeah, so as a coach, you're running groups, this is what you do, and yeah, and then I have you come into our team page after you finish the university. And I'm just assuming like this, that they, like, why wouldn't they do this? You know, I'm assuming this sale. I have listened in on people or read their messages and seen people be almost apologetic about it or assuming that they're going to say no. And I'm like, no, like you're creating doubt in someone's mind. So if you're unsure that you're doing this, it might be beneficial to share the screenshots of your messages in the team page, or if you have a success partner or an upline or a group of coaches you feel that you could do that with, to get some feedback on it and be like, do you feel I'm assuming the sale, speaking with passion, breadcrumbing information, ending with a question, you know, those kinds of things in your invites, you know, and get some feedback from other people. Another thing that I feel is really important is to focus on the attraction and the marketing in your posts and in your stories. So moving out of invites and into this side of it, you make things a lot easier. Like the less time you have to spend in the invite flow if you've done a really good job marketing it. And so I also have heard it said that the more I serve, the less I have to sell. Now, sell, I mean, again, that is kind of in a negative connotation. So I think of it more as the more I serve, the less I have to convince someone that this is the best thing for them, because I know it's the best thing for them, right? But if I am serving them and I'm offering value and I'm sharing with them how this is going to be to their benefit over and over and over again in my marketing on my page, then they're like already sold by the time we have that conversation. And you can do this by refining your marketing skills. A big thing is to identify, what does everyone want? Okay, and how am I going to sell it? And I really feel that most people just don't even think about this. I see some people's posts and I feel like they're almost treating it as like, this is just my diary, or like, this is just a place for me to share my story. This is a place for me to share my thing. And I think that's good. Like, it's good for people to get to know you, but also like, are you talking about what people want? Like, are you sharing with them that I have a solution for you with what you want, and talking about those things? And so, you know, make sure you are identifying that and talking about what does my audience want to hear? And with that, look at, I like doing a self-analysis, is that the right word? Yeah. Analysis of what you're doing and identify, like, how is this working for me? How is this campaign going? And in that, I want you to remember this phrase. Remember, planes fly. It may sound a little weird, but listen, if a plane crashes, we know that something went wrong with the plane. We know that something went wrong with the plan, but planes fly. So if a plane crashes, we don't sit there and now be like, you know what, I just don't really know if planes are meant to fly. Like, I just don't know it. You know, we know that something went wrong because planes fly. And that's what I want you to remember with your marketing, that this program, this marketing works, that this business works. There are people making so much money in this company that you wouldn't even hear about. They never make it out on a national wake-up call. I've got coaches on my downline who are earning like 6 figures that like are never going to be on a national wake-up call, but they're out-earning their husbands, you know, like there's just so much opportunity in this business. This business works. The planes fly. And so if it's not working for you, there's not something wrong with you either, because you have sold people before on your ideas. You sold yourself to whatever friends that you have. You sold yourself to them for them to want to be your friend. You sold yourself to your husband if you're married. You sold yourself to your boyfriend if you have a boyfriend. You sell yourself all day long to your kids to get them to do what you want them to do. You know, like you do know how to sell. And this is something that you can sell. And so there's nothing wrong with you. You have the ability to sell things. And this is a product that is noteworthy to sell. And so if something's not working, I want you to identify what part didn't work, okay? So it's not I can't do this, I suck at this, whatever. What part didn't work, okay? And focus on that and fix that, okay? I will tell you one little thing, random tip on that. If you feel like frustrated or stuck on something, take a free moment or a free day, because my best ideas come after a free moment or a free day. And that's why people are like, my best ideas come in the shower or while I'm working out. I'm like, yes, because you broke away and kind of took a step back. So if you're like, oh, I'm frustrated with my invites, something's not working, like get some input from others, but take a free moment or a free day. Okay, back to this marketing concept and the persuasion of that. I already mentioned that people are attracted to your sincere belief in what you're selling. They are attracted to your sincere belief in what you're selling. So first, you have to do whatever you have to do to believe with all your heart that what you're offering is to a benefit of who you're talking to. Honestly, I remind myself of that before I get on any call. Before I send my messages, I still have to remind myself that like I am offering an opportunity that is going to completely change their life. And I have no idea what God has in store for this person and how this is going to change their life for the better. I don't know if that means that they're going to like lose weight and help one other person, and that's just going to be life-changing for that person or for them, or if they're going to be a diamond coach and become one of my best friends, or if they're going to be like one of my favorite friends who's just in my corner rooting me no matter what, and they're like this lifelong like buddy of mine, but they never do anything with the business. Like, I don't know what's in store, but I know that this is going to be to their benefit, and I know that like this is going to help them in some way. Like, remind yourself of that before you send every single invite, because you have something up there of value to add for that person. If you're struggling with the business opportunity, I think it helps to make a list of all of the benefits that you have had since you've become a coach. You know, so many people are like, oh, I can list out all my failures real quick. Well, can you list out all of the things that this has done for you? You know, like the benefits don't always just come in the income. Many times it comes in the friendships or the community or the personal development growth that you've had, or just the outlook on life that you have, or the eating habits that you've passed on to your kids, or, you know, all of the different things that this has changed your life for the good. Those are benefits that that person on the other side of the screen is living without, you know, that you can share with them, you know, that they're looking for those things that you have because of coaching that you could share with them, okay? Another thing I just want to share is to be intentional with the invites. So there was a story that I heard this guy, his name's Dean Graziosi. I highly, highly recommend this book. Super, super, super good book. He is the one who really, I feel, helped drive it home that selling is a good thing. And this book is just an all-around, like, really covers all the bases of, it's just a really good book. But in this book, he is sharing this story of how he was fly fishing with his friends, and he had gone fly fishing when he was a kid with his grandma and his grandpa, and his grandma had passed away, and he had always felt that, like, he didn't get that one last fishing trip in with his grandparents. And so then here he was fly fishing with his friends years and years later. And, you know, when he went out there, he's like, you know what, I'm going to, like, he was thinking of his grandparents and, like, this is a way for me to really kind of connect with them, even though they're not going to be there. And I'm going to do this for them, you know, and in their honor in a way. And when he went out with his friends, they were all newbies. They had never done fly fishing before. It's kind of different than, you know, the fishing that he had done with his grandparents growing up. And he said that they were all terrible at it. They were all, like, just a mess. But he would switch things up. So he would observe, like, what was working with this little old man that he saw down the river that was catching fish. He kind of, like, watched what he was doing. He watched what his friends were doing that wasn't working, and he moved around, and then he kind of observed, like, where these little fish were, and he kind of moved over there. And he said he was really intentional on only throwing that out and dropping it, like, when he felt that he had this right. And he said his other friends were, like, just, like, throw it in, pull it back, throw it in, pull it back. And he pointed out that, like, he, at the end of the day, had pulled out so many more fish than any one of his friends. And they were all like, dude, what are you, like, you know, you're this secret fly fisher pro, you know? And he just talked about how he realized that, like, a couple things had really worked in his benefit. One, he had a why. Like, he had a reason of why it meant enough to him to, like, figure things out. Like, he had a reason for being there. Like, it meant more to him than just, oh, let's just go do so and see what, you know, just go have fun. He also was willing to adjust and learn and observe what was working and observe what wasn't working. And I think of that in this business where there's some people who are just like, give me a script, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. Did it, got my 50 invites in, and I'm like, okay, slow your roll. Look at who you're inviting. I myself have received invites from people, and I'm like, you had taken 2 seconds to look at my page. You would have seen I was a coach. You would have seen I was doing this already, you know, but good job. You got your invites in for the day, but at what expense? Like, because you look like a fool, you know? Slow your roll. It's not about hitting a quota, but this is the difference between a treadmill entrepreneur and a ladder entrepreneur. Someone who's actually moving up versus someone who's just working faster, harder, and getting nowhere. And so I would encourage you that you don't have to do more and more invites to get to where you need to be. I feel like you need to identify what's working, what's not working, adjust, hone in your skills, tap into your why, and be intentional about those invites that you're sending and be personal with that person, okay? I also think it helps you to identify what is the cost of sending that invite and what is the cost of not sending the invite. I'll say that again. What's the cost of sending the invite and what is the cost of not sending the invite? And what cost are you unwilling to pay? And I just share that because I've had some people who are like, oh, like it's so easy for them to maybe make a post, but they don't want to send an invite to someone. And I'm like, why? Like, what's the cost, you know, of sending that invite? But what's the cost of not? You know, what are you going to miss out on? Or what is that person going to miss out on? You know, I think many times we don't realize that people are wanting to join us, but they feel a little shy and they're just waiting for that invite. They're waiting for them to get permission from us that we want them there, and that this is something that they can do and be a part of. Okay. So I think you got to send the messages. You've got to reach out to the people that you notice are paying attention to what you're doing and just say, hey, you know what? I appreciate you watching my stories. I appreciate you liking my post. I mean, it means a lot. I put this time and effort into making this stuff. It just makes me feel good to know that you're like liking it and paying attention. And listen, if I'm going to regret this, if I do not message you and invite you, I don't know if this is your thing or not, but I am running a group and I really think it might be something that you'd be interested in. Are you curious to know more? You know, and just send this authentic, like, listen, hey, do you want to be at this? If you don't, that's okay. But I really think that you'd have a lot of fun. And I like doing this with people that I like, and I really like you. So you should do it with me. You know, like just send out that authentic invite. Another thing that I want to share is that adding value every single time. So I am not a person who does 3 posts a day. I feel like it's better to share a post when I have something of value to add and to make sure I'm sharing like what I'm learning. But if you are sharing your journey, right? So because that shows your consistency. And I also feel it helps to educate people along the way. And so I like sharing transformation photos. I like sharing ingredient breakdowns of Shakeology. So I'll pick one ingredient of Shakeology and say, this is why I'm drinking my shake, guys. It has camu in it. Let me tell you about camu. And I'll put that down because that is something that attracted me. And so I kind of feel like what attracted me will attract other people as well. Transformation stories attracted me into this and made me believe that I could do that too and lose weight actually. And so I share that. Think about like what attracted you into this business, and are you displaying those same things? Are you adding value, or are you just posting to post? Because I just don't think this is about checking off all the check marks and hitting quotas of so many invites out. Okay, I got my 3 posts up. Well, did you add value? You know, did you focus on what people want to hear, or you know, just post to share your journey? So there's a couple other tips that I wanted to share from this book. That he has 2 chapters specifically. That one talks about attraction marketing, and then another one talks about working on the sale after the close. So those are the last 2 things I'm going to go over, and then I'll take any questions. But one of the things he points out in here is that people want to be understood. So people will learn from you, listen to you, love you, buy from you, hire you when they feel understood, not when they understand you. And I thought that was really significant because I think, again, with posts, I think a lot of people, I personally have done this, where I have spent a lot of time writing these posts seeking for people to just understand me. Like, I don't know what it is, but I have this innate desire where I just want people to understand me and know where I'm coming from. And so I've noticed that, like, I've spent a lot of time being like, I just want to make sure people understand my heart and understand where I'm coming from. And honestly, that's a mistake. I really should not have done that. That would have been better for me to spend that time writing in a journal, talking with a close friend, talking that out with my husband, sharing that with him. But social media wasn't really the best place for me to do that, and that's been a mistake that I've made. It would have been better for me to instead think of what are the concerns my audience has and how can I address those concerns and show them that, like, listen, I get you. Like, I understand you. And as I'm sharing a concern that they have, maybe, you know, that I can relate to or that I've seen other people have, then when people read that, they're like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me. Or like, I relate, I get it, you know, versus, you know, like that connects us versus them just being like, okay, I understand you. But they want to feel understood. They don't care to understand me. Transparency and trust always wins. And that's another thing he shared in there. He said, if someone can detect hype or BS, then they tune out and they leave out, end of story. And honestly, I feel this is a big reason why I encourage my coaches to never copy post. And I hesitate because I'm like, I hope that's not something that, like, other people are like, oh, we do that here. And I don't think you guys do. But I think it's really important you don't copy posts that you see, even if it's like this really well-worded post from another coach, because people can sense it's not your voice. they can sense it's not your work, and then they distrust you because they're like, did you write this? You wrote this? Who's talking? Like, they start tuning out. If you try to be someone you're not, they're going to tune out. I have a coach, one of my coaches, her name is Keisha Fitzgerald, and if you watch her Insta stories, she is like super high energy, and she's like all day long, like, and that's her authentic self. That's how she is in person. That's not how I am. But if I try to be like her, and I'm like, oh, I gotta be like happy, jump on a trampoline and like all day long, like, because she's really successful, so I need to do that too. Like, one, I'm gonna get really tired because it's not me. I don't operate at that level. But I don't think people are gonna connect. And then if they did, but then we met in person at Summit, they'd be like, who are you? Like, I thought I was getting this high energy person. And so you need to show that transparency and like show who you really are, okay? Don't copy post, don't try to be like somebody else. And if you're struggling, I think it's okay to share that as long as you're sharing like what your strategy is. So I'm like, don't share your struggle without your strategy. And what I mean by that is no one wants the pity party. You know, we want to root for a champion. We don't want to like, you know, just feel bad for you. But if I'm struggling, I'm like, listen, I'm struggling. So here's what I'm going to do about it. Here's my plan. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. You know, so I'm still being authentic. I'm not like everything is hunky-dory, perfect, but I don't share a struggle without a strategy. I mentioned this, you know, sell people what they want. And here's the thing is that people don't buy what they need. They buy what they want. And that's a big deal. So like, yeah, people want to like, you can't tell someone like, hey, you really need to lose weight because it's going to add extra years to your life. Like, they're not motivated by that. But if you tell them like, listen, if you lose weight, you're going to feel confident on the beach. You're going to feel confident in the bedroom. You're going to be able to wear whatever you want and feel comfortable in that. Like, who's going to buy, right? They're going to buy when they're like, okay, I can feel confident on the beach. Like, heck yeah. You know, they buy what they want. And so even if it's the same thing, speak in the language of what they want, not what they need. And I see sometimes veteran coaches who've done this for a really long time start talking about why they are continuing to do this. They're like, oh, like, it's not for the weight loss anymore. I do it for all these other reasons. And I think that's great. But that is like, you're talking to the people who are already working out. But that's not going to convince someone to get started. So that is a good post to make, but you can't make that in a post and invite people to get started. You have to recognize that that post is essentially reselling to your existing customers and your existing coaches, which is a good thing to do. I feel a lot of my Shakeology ingredient posts that I make are selling to my own coaches, my own customers on why they should continue drinking it. But when I talk to a new customer, I'm like, you're going to feel good. It's going to help you lose weight. You're going to have more energy, and it's going to ease your stomach so your whole digestion system's better, you know? But I don't like talk to them the same way I do as I'm trying to tell someone why they should continue doing it. I hope that makes sense. Another thing that he mentions in this book is to tell stories. And there's a really great video from Beachbody Leadership, Fall Leadership. I believe Scotty Hobbs has it on his YouTube channel. Look that up, but it's really great on sharing why stories sell. I also feel Simon Sinek's YouTube, like, what's it called? His TED Talk on the power of why kind of helps you see like that when you share a story, that is what helps people really connect to things. And he mentions that's like a really great way to do persuade people before you ever have the invite. And then the power of passion. He mentions that again in there, that when you're passionate about something and it's on your mind all the time, like that's where you have the ability to persuade people. Now he had a couple things that I thought were just really interesting, and these are not all things that I do, but I still wanted to share them with you guys because I just finished reading this book the end of 2018. Actually, just barely finished reading it like 2 days ago. And some of the things he wrote down, I was like, that's a genius idea. And maybe I'm not doing that, but I should, I'm going to. But he pointed out on how important it is to work on the sale after the close. And he's like, listen, you have to continue showing up and continue building that trust and continue that communication. And I just thought of many times, in my business, that I think that's why it's worked for me to do less invites and not sign up as many coaches, because I really invest in that. I'm focusing on that relationship with my customers so they stay on Shakeology and I can have high volume. Like, my volume is pretty high. Like, it's always really high in my personal volume, when they do their volume recognition stuff. And I will tell you, it's not because I am sending a lot of invites and selling a lot. There are coaches in my downline who are triple me in success skill points, but I have triple them in volume because my customers stay. And I think that's because I focus on really connecting with them and trying to build a friendship. It's how I think about it, that I'm I really want to build a relationship with this person. And so I think if you strive to create relationships and not create transactions, that will really help you to earn more money. Ultimately, but also more than that, it will help you to be more fulfilled and enjoy this more. For me, that's what this is all about. Because I really want to know that I did make a difference, but I don't feel I'm going to know that if I didn't get to know that person. I also feel many times it's that relationship that is what helps the person when times get hard. That if the relationship's not there, they're not even going to message me when they're struggling. And then I don't even have the opportunity to actually help them when they need me, because they didn't even reach out to me because they didn't feel that they could. They didn't feel that there was a safe place there. And so I'm that's where I feel like I actually have the opportunity to make a difference. And so that I do that with my customers. I do that with my coaches. And I think that's why my customers stick, and why a coach, I build that relationship with them. So then they're, wanting to stick around. Because people will refund a transaction, but they will not refund a relationship because they want to stay there. I also feel that you become a go-to person, not because of talent, but because you stay consistent. That is one thing I think I've done really well this last year, is being really consistent in sharing with my workouts on social media. And I'm just not the most talented person in a lot of things, but I am consistent and I'm willing to adjust and work hard and adjust, so give me feedback, I'll adjust, I'll do something different. But for you to be the go-to person when someone's struggling or whatever, it's because you're consistently showing up. You can't be in and out. You can't be taking breaks on your own workout program and then wonder why your challengers are falling off, I think he pointed out in this book, it was really interesting. He goes, I don't believe we are so much in the selling business, but in the reselling business. And I thought that was really interesting, because how often do we really need to be reselling this to our existing team members and our existing customers, And so I think that can be done by sharing Shakeology information videos in your challenge group so that they see the benefit of this, and they're educated on that it's not just this protein shake and then they continue ordering because they've been educated about it and they understand everything that they're drinking. I also think that with repeat customers, going back to your Beachbody On Demand renewals, and be sure you're emailing those people about the new programs that you have coming out, about Transform 20, and the new groups that you have coming out. I have a few coaches who at the end of the year, they're I'm on holiday mode. But they still hit Success Club because they went to everybody who was about to have their Beachbody On Demand renewed, and they just let them know, hey, you can get a discount if you want to get back on Shakeology, and then your renewal is only $30 more. It's $160 right now. You can save some money. Instead of having your Beachbody On Demand renew, you can get a discount. I do have a group starting in the new year you want to do this? And so they weren't sending out invites to new people, but they were still able to earn Success Club by going to those Beachbody on-demand renewals. And again, just make sure you're constantly working to build a relationship with someone and let them know, like, I like you. I want to get to know you. And I think you can do that by asking them specific questions. I like to ask questions like, I just want to know, as we get started, what does support from me look like for you? What does it look like? What does support look like for you? Like, I want to know what you want from me. You know, how can I best support you? I like to ask, what do you need from me? You know, when someone shares their goals with me, like my new coaches are kind of at the beginning of the year, like, here's the thing. I'm like, okay, I love this. What do you need from me? How can I best support you in this goal? I like to ask my challengers, if I see you not checking in, what's the best way for me to respond? How do you want me to reach out to you? And, you know, little things like that. I also feel it was worded in this way: set up camp with their fears and their concerns. He used that phrase in this book, and I really like that, because he's like, you do the same thing with your kids, you know, that like, you don't just say, hey, how was school? Good. They go in, you know, but you're like, okay, tell me about recess. Who did you play with at recess? Because my kids have recess. You know, who did you eat with at lunch? You're asking specific questions. You're getting to know them about their details. When a coach messages me and it's just a small little like question, and, you know, and they ask me a question and then I answer, and, you know, then it could just be done. And that'd be kind of a little bit of a transactional relationship, right? But I'm like, if I can just slow down and ask them, like, you know, I had one girl the other day, I noticed that her husband was at the hospital, and she had messaged me a question about something else unrelated. And I just said, hey, but I noticed your post yesterday about your husband. Is he okay? You know, just like letting people know that you see them and you care about them, I think really goes a long way, you know, to having people stick around. And I see that as closing the deal, making sales, because you're keeping people in by showing that you care about them. So you don't have to just work on a treadmill and work harder, faster, but work smarter. So I am like so over on time. But I just wanted to share this with you guys, because I think there's just a way to have this business be so fulfilling and so fun and rewarding. And I have found that comes, I think, not by finding more, but by really nurturing what I have. That's my word for the year, I guess. It is the word for my year. But I saw this quote that really stood out to me that said, every small thing grows when you nurture it. And so that's my word for the year, because I'm like, you know what, if I just nurture and take care of the people that I have, and every single person who reaches out to me, every single person I want to reach out to, and I really nurture that relationship and really nurture the relationship after they join my challenge group and after they join me as a coach, and nurture everyone who follows my page, really nurture like every little thing that I can, I think like this business will continue always being something that I'm so fulfilled by and that I always love. And I think it will be the same for you. So thank you for tuning in. And I haven't even checked the chat, but I'll hurry and do that.
That's okay. We've been kind of chatting back and forth and getting some of the questions answered. It kind of seems like, first of all, that was amazing. Thank you so much. It seems like this was so super helpful for everybody, because we kind of have this fear of like going off on a tangent and rambling whenever we get asked questions about like our challenge group or about coaching or whatever the case may be. And I think that you addressed that so perfectly and beautifully whenever you talked about how you like to start conversations by asking them if they've ever heard of, you know, Beachbody, because this is a program that's supported by Beachbody Fitness. And I think that is kind of how I have, not necessarily asking them about Beachbody, but I always start those conversations with a question, because I feel kind of like how you talked about, because I feel like I'm better able to kind of cater the conversation to exactly how they respond to that question. You know what I mean? So like if they have heard of Beachbody and they do have this preconceived notion, like you can specifically address that or if, like, I like to ask them if they have a current health and fitness regimen, or, you know, like, what do they currently do? And then if they say something like, well, I used to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, but I've had, you know, 2 or 3 kids and I just don't have time anymore, then I'm able to specifically tailor my response to, we would love our programs because we have programs that are now 20 minutes long, and it's like totally convenient, especially for mamas or mamas to be. So I think those are really kind of the only questions at the beginning that we have. And I loved how you talked about that. I kind of wanted to piggyback on something that you specifically said. I think it came from that book, and it was a quote that said that something like, people want to feel understood, not understand you. And I, like, that just like speaks to my soul. I think that by asking those questions when we're having those conversations, whether it's a challenge group invite that we're sending or somebody reaching out to us, asking them, like, what do you specifically struggle with? Is it that you don't have enough time, or you don't know how to eat clean, or you need a great, you know, nutritional supplement like Shakeology? That really fosters that key piece of making sure that they feel understood. Because I feel like a lot of times in our health and fitness journey, and I think we can all attest to this because we're all on a health and fitness journey, regardless of, you know, where we're at or what that looks like, it's so easy to feel like you're the only one that feels that way. Even in our businesses, like, I'm the only one that struggles with invites, or I'm the only one that gets out of 10 invites gets 10 no's, or I'm the only one that struggles with nutrition. And so I think that is like a huge takeaway for me specifically. And I think if we can keep that in mind when we're having conversations, that people just want to be understood, that it will help guide those conversations, and that we won't feel the need to just dump this scripted, like, here's what you get in a challenge pack spiel to people, which I think is what a lot of us are so fearful of. So,
well, and I think the trick with that, if it's okay, I interject for a second, but is to bring it back up again. So, like, I mean, yes, ask the question, but they feel understood when you say, because you told me you're this busy mom, I think this program would be best for you because it's only 20 minutes, you know, as Beth had this example. I had one girl mention, like, I was talking to her about makeup, and she asked me a question on something if and I told her that I had these melanoma age spots. And so when she recommended this product, she's like, and because you had told me that you struggle with these age spots, I thought you would also appreciate this. Now, I didn't feel that she was trying to sell me at all. I felt like, oh, she was really listening to me. Like, and so she didn't just ask the question, but she applied it then to the recommendation she gave, and I felt understood. And yes, I bought the thing as well. So I think, you know, you got to just make sure you bring it back in your recommendation.
Yep, totally. I couldn't agree more. Awesome. Well, does anybody else have any more questions? This was so good. Thank you so much. I have already hopped on my phone while we were closing out and ordered that book. So I will be.
Yeah, it's really good.
Good.
So.
Very cool. Well, awesome. I guess we are done here then. Thank you so much, Brigitte, and everybody for hopping on. If you're watching back recorded, yeah, book club book. So every month we do like a book club thing where our team tries to read the same book. So that's like a perfect one.
Awesome.
Really do. Yeah. But if you guys have any questions, just feel free to pop it below this recording in our page and let us know what we can do to help. And thank you again, Brigitte, for taking time out of your schedule to chat with us.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. Bye, you guys.